You want to know the real secret to wealth? It's not what you think. It's not the stock tip your cousin mentioned. It's not the lottery ticket. It's not even luck. Rich people, the ones who actually stay rich, didn't get there by accident. They got there through 10 small habits, 10 habits that they follow every single day. Most people ignore these habits. Most people chase the glamorous, sexy shortcuts instead. And most people stay broke. Today, that changes. Today, you learn the 10 habits that quietly, systematically, relentlessly build wealth. And more importantly, you learn how to apply them starting right now. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Stop waiting for permission to build wealth. You're waiting for permission. Right now. Today. This very moment. You're waiting for someone, a boss, a mentor, a parent, a stranger on the internet with more credentials than you, to tell you that you're allowed to build wealth. That you're qualified. That you've done enough preparation. That the timing is right. That you have the right education, the right connections, the right circumstances. You're waiting. And while you wait, someone else is building. Let me tell you something that will either liberate you or infuriate you, depending on how honest you are with yourself. Ready? Nobody is coming to give you permission. Nobody. Not your boss. Not your family. Not the government. Not some magical mentor who's been waiting in the wings for the perfect moment to unlock your potential. Nobody. The permission you're waiting for doesn't exist. It never existed. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you start building wealth. Here's what I know about the wealthy. I know they don't think as you do. They don't ask permission. They ask forgiveness. There's a massive difference. Permission seekers wait. Permission seekers plan. Permission seekers gather credentials, degrees, and certifications, hoping that one day all these external validations will finally give them the green light to act. Forgiveness seekers act first. They move. They start. They fail. They adjust. And because they're already in motion, they learn faster than any credential could ever teach them. Let me give you a real example. There's a 23-year-old kid. Let's call him Marcus. No fancy degree. No industry connections. No mentor who believed in him. No trust fund. Nothing. Marcus looked at the job market, realized he didn't want to climb someone else's ladder, and decided to start a digital marketing agency out of his apartment. He had 0 clients. 0 experience. 0 permission from anyone. His parents thought he was crazy. His friends thought he was wasting time. His college professors would have told him he needed more experience, more training, more something. But Marcus didn't ask them. He didn't ask anyone. He just started. Within 6 months, he had 3 clients. Within 2 years, he had 15. Within 5 years, he was generating 6 figures in passive income. The business ran itself because he'd built systems. He'd hired people smarter than him in specific areas. He'd solved problems by doing them, not by reading about them. Did Marcus have permission from anyone? No. Did he need it? Absolutely not. Did his lack of permission stop him from becoming wealthy? Not even close. Here's another one. There's a woman. Sarah. She wanted to invest in the stock market. She had $50 in her checking account after paying bills. That's it. $50. She thought about it. She knew nothing about stocks. She had no investment advisor telling her it was okay. She had no rich uncle guiding her. She had nobody. But she had a choice. She could wait. Wait for more money. Wait for more knowledge. Wait for someone to tell her it was okay. Or she could start with what she had. She opened a brokerage account with her $50. She bought 1 fractional share of an index fund. 1. That's all she could afford. But here's what happened next. She built a habit. Every week, she automated another $50 from her paycheck into that same fund. Nobody gave her permission. She just did it. 15 years later, that $50 weekly contribution had turned into a 6-figure portfolio. Not because she was special, Not because she had insider knowledge. Not because someone gave her the secret code. But because she started without permission and stayed consistent. Permission is the disease of the broke. Action is the cure for the rich. Think about your own life right now. What are you waiting for permission to do? Maybe it's starting a side business. You think I need more experience first. I need to take a course. I need to wait until I have more money saved up. I need a mentor. I need to know it will work before I try it. All of that is permission-seeking language. All of it is procrastination wearing a suit. Or maybe it's investing. You think I need to understand the market better. I need more money to make it worth it. I need to talk to a financial advisor first. I need to read more books. Meanwhile, someone else is already investing, learning by doing, compounding their wealth while you're still preparing to prepare. Or maybe it's asking for a raise. You think I need to be at this job longer. I need more credentials. I need the economy to improve. I need my boss to notice me first. That's permission language. The wealthy? They ask for the raise because they've done the work and they know their value. They don't wait for permission. Here's what separates the rich from the broke, and this is crucial. The rich understand that permission comes from within, not from without. You don't need anyone's approval to build wealth. You need to make your own decision. That's it. You have a choice right now. This very second. You can finish listening to this chapter and think, that was interesting. Maybe someday I'll try something like that. Or you can commit to doing something this week. Not next month. Not when you're ready. This week. And here's the thing. You're probably not ready. You probably don't have enough money. You probably don't know enough. You probably haven't prepared enough. That's the point. The wealthy never feel ready. They just move anyway. Waiting for permission is just procrastination wearing a suit. It's the sophisticated version of fear disguised as responsibility. It sounds responsible. I'm being careful. I'm being thorough. I'm not rushing into things. But what it really is cowardice. And cowardice keeps you broke. The wealthy don't have some special advantage you don't have. They don't have special permission. They have special courage. They are willing to move without approval. To fail without shame. To learn by doing instead of by researching. Think about what would change in your life if you stopped waiting for permission. If you opened that investment account today. If you started that side project this week. If you made that call tomorrow. Not with confidence. You don't need confidence. You need action. Action creates confidence. Not the other way around. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to have people question your decisions. That's not a sign you're doing it wrong. That's a sign you're doing it right. Because everyone who built wealth felt exactly the way you feel right now. So what's your move? You have a choice. That's the key. You have a choice right now. What financial action have you been postponing because you felt you needed permission? An investment account? A side business? A skill you need to learn? A conversation you need to have? Choose one. Just one. And do it this week. Not perfectly. Not with complete knowledge. Not with someone else's blessing. Just do it. You don't need permission. You need action. Permission is the disease of the broke. Action is the cure for the rich. Now that you understand you don't need anyone else's approval to begin building wealth, let's talk about what happens after you start. Because starting is one thing. But knowing where your money goes, every single dollar, that's what separates people who stumble into success from people who engineer it. Chapter 2. Track every dollar like it's your child. You have no idea where your money goes. I'm not asking. I'm telling you. Most people don't know. They earn money. It disappears. Then they wonder why they're not building wealth. They think it's because they earn too little. They think it's because the economy is rigged. They think it's because they need better advice or a better job or a better opportunity. They're wrong. The real reason is simple. They don't track their money. They don't measure it. They don't pay attention to it. And what gets ignored gets wasted. Here's what I know about wealthy people. They are obsessed with their numbers. Not in a neurotic way. Not in a way that controls them, but in a way that informs them. A wealthy person knows their net worth to the dollar. They know their monthly expenses. They know their savings rate. They know where every single dollar comes from and where it goes. A broke person? They have no idea. They get paid. Money goes into their account. They spend it. It's gone. Repeat. That ignorance is not accidental. It's a choice. And that choice keeps them broke. What gets measured gets managed. What gets managed gets multiplied. This is not a motivational phrase. This is a law of finance. The moment you start measuring something, you start controlling it. The moment you control it, it grows. Think about parenting for a second. A good parent doesn't just hope their child eats healthy. They track what the child eats. They know what goes into their body. A good parent doesn't just hope their child goes to bed on time. They track the schedule. They know when sleep happens. Why? Because measurement creates accountability. Measurement creates change. Your money deserves the same attention. Your money deserves the same tracking. But most people treat their money like an abandoned child. They don't check in. They don't pay attention. They don't measure. And then they're shocked when nothing grows. Let me give you a real example. There's a man, let's call him David. David made about $65,000 per year. He thought he should be building wealth, but somehow it wasn't happening. He was frustrated. He was angry. He felt like the system was against him. One day, he decided to actually track his spending for 90 days. He logged everything. Every coffee. Every meal. Every subscription. Every small purchase he'd forgotten about. After 90 days, he had a revelation. He was spending $340 per month on subscriptions. Streaming services. Gym memberships he didn't use. Software he'd forgotten about. Apps. Subscriptions to things he couldn't even name anymore. $340 per month. That's $4,800 per year. David had never measured this. So David had never managed it. So David had been leaking $340 every single month without even realizing it. When he saw that number, he made a choice. He cut the unnecessary subscriptions. He kept the ones he actually used. He saved $240 per month. That's $2,880 per year. He then took that money and automatically invested it into an index fund. Over 10 years, with compounding, the $2,880 per year turned into more than $45,000. All because he tracked for 90 days and made one decision. That's the power of measurement. That's what happens when you stop being ignorant about your money. But here's the thing. David didn't need fancy software. He didn't need a complicated system. He didn't need a financial advisor. He just needed consistency. He used a simple spreadsheet. Income in one column. Expenses in another. Every week, he reviewed it. That was it. You don't need complicated. You need consistency. You need to know where your money goes. That's all. A spreadsheet. A notebook. An app. It doesn't matter which one you choose. What matters is that you choose one and you actually use it. Here's how to do this starting today. Create 3 categories. Needs. Wants. Investments. Needs are non-negotiable. Rent. Utilities. Insurance. Food. Transportation to work. These things you must pay for. Wants are everything else. Eating out. Entertainment. Shopping. Subscriptions. Hobbies. Investments are money you put toward assets. Stocks. Your business. Education that increases your earning power. Real estate. Most people spend 60% on needs, 35% on wants, and 5% on investments. Maybe they're lucky. The wealthy flip this. They spend 50% on needs, 15% on wants, and 35% on investments. That's the difference. But you can't flip your spending until you measure it. You cannot optimize what you don't measure. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. You cannot get better at managing money if you're not measuring money. So here's your assignment. This week, track every single dollar, every expense, every purchase. Write it down. At the end of the week, look at it. Really look at it. Where is your money going? What surprises you? What shocks you? What would you cut if you had to? Most people discover they're spending $300 to $500 per month on things they don't care about. Things they forgot to pay for. Things that matter so little they can't even remember what they are. Now here's the psychological piece that matters more than anything. Tracking is not punishment. Tracking is not deprivation. Tracking is power. Every time you log a number, you're taking control. You're saying, this is my money. This is my life. I'm deciding where it goes. The wealthy feel this power. They love tracking because it makes them feel like they're designing their life instead of just living it. The broke person avoids tracking because they don't want to see the truth. They don't want to feel bad about their spending. But that avoidance is cowardice. That avoidance is why they stay broke. Because the truth you avoid doesn't go away, it just gets worse. Tracking is the difference between sleepwalking through your finances and designing them on purpose. When you track, you wake up. You see clearly. You make different choices. And different choices create different results. Start today. Not next week. Not when you feel ready. Today. Open a spreadsheet. Write down what you spent yesterday. Write down what you spent the day before. Then commit to writing down every single expense for the next 30 days. At the end of 30 days, you will have clarity. You will see your money clearly. And once you see clearly, you cannot help but act differently. That clarity is the foundation of wealth. That measurement is the gateway to multiplying your money. You've now learned that you must measure your money obsessively. But measurement alone is not enough. You need to know what to do with what you measure. You need a system for allocating money that actually builds wealth, not just sustains you. That system is not what you think it is. It's not the advice you've heard 1,000 times. It's what the rich actually do. Chapter 3, the 50-30-20 rule is for broke people. Here's what the rich actually do. You've been lied to. Not intentionally. But you've been lied to nonetheless. Someone told you about the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your income goes to needs. 30% goes to wants. 20% goes to savings. It sounds balanced. It sounds reasonable. It sounds like the path to financial stability. It is not the path to wealth. The 50-30-20 rule is designed for people who want to be middle class. It's designed for people whose goal is to never go backward. It's designed for stability, not growth. And if your goal is wealth, stability is not enough. Stability is a trap. Think about what that rule actually means. You're saving 20% of your income. If you make $50,000 per year, that's $10,000 per year in savings. That's about $833 per month. At that savings rate, it will take you 40 years to accumulate $400,000. 40 years. And that assumes zero interest, zero compounding, zero investment returns. The wealthy don't think like this. They don't ask themselves, how much should I save according to some expert's rule? They ask themselves, what percentage do I need to save to reach financial independence? That's a completely different question. A person making $50,000 per year who saves 20% will be working for 40+ years. A person earning $50,000 per year who saves 50% will be financially independent in 10 to 15 years. Same income. Different savings rate. Completely different life. That's the key. That's the real difference. The wealthy prioritize investment first, not last. This is the inverse of how broke people think. Broke people earn money, spend it on whatever they want, and then try to save what's left. Usually, nothing is left. Rich people earn money, automatically invest it, and spend what remains. The priority order is reversed. And that reversal is why they're rich. Here's how it actually works. The moment you get paid, money automatically transfers from your account to investment accounts. You don't see it. You don't touch it. It's gone before you even know it existed. Some people do this with 50% of their income. Some do it at 30%. Some do it at 70%. The exact number matters less than the principle. You invest first. Then you live on what's left. This sounds extreme. It sounds depressing. It sounds like you'll be eating rice and beans forever. But here's the truth. You will eat rice and beans for a while. 3 years. 5 years. 10 years, depending on how aggressive you are. But then you won't have to work anymore. Then you'll have freedom. The broke person eats steak today and works forever. The rich person eats rice and beans for a while, then eats steak, and never works again. You have to choose which life you want. Let me give you the actual allocation that the wealthy use. First, automate your investment immediately. This happens the day you get paid. 30% of your gross income goes into investment accounts before taxes, before you see it, before you can spend it. Some people do this with their employer's 401k. Some do this with automatic transfers to brokerage accounts. Some do this by having their employer split their paycheck. The mechanism doesn't matter. What matters is that it's automatic and it happens first. Second, cover your non-negotiable expenses. Rent, insurance, utilities, food, transportation to work. These things are essential. You cannot cut these without destroying your quality of life or your ability to earn. So you pay these seconds. Third, everything else is discretionary. Entertainment, eating out, shopping, travel. After you've invested and covered necessities, what's left is yours to spend guilt-free. Some months, you might have $200 of discretionary spending. Some months you might have $500. It varies based on what your non-negotiable expenses actually are. This approach solves a problem created by the 50-30-20 rule. The 50-30-20 rule requires willpower. It requires you to spend only 30% on wants. Every day is a battle. Every purchase is a decision. Every time you want something, you have to ask yourself, is this within my 30%? Most people fail this test. They slip. They overspend. They then feel guilty. Then they give up. The wealthy approach requires zero willpower. Money is automatically invested. It's gone. You cannot spend it. Then you live on what's left. No decision required. No battle. No willpower needed. Just automatic discipline baked into the system. Now, I know what you're thinking. I can't save 30%. I barely get by right now. My expenses are too high. First, that's probably not true. You probably have $300 to $500 per month in discretionary spending you could cut if you actually measured it. Remember Chapter 2. Tracking. You cannot optimize what you don't measure. Second, even if your expenses are high, you start small. You don't go from saving 0 to saving 30% overnight. You start at 5%. You get used to that. Then you increase to 10%. Then 15. Then 20. Then 30. This is a progression. This is a journey. But the journey has to start. Third, your non-negotiable expenses might be high right now. That's a separate problem to solve. Maybe you need to move to a cheaper place. Maybe you need to downgrade your car. Maybe you need to cut your lifestyle in half temporarily to create space for investment. Those are hard choices. But they're choices. You have a choice. You can stay comfortable and poor, or you can be uncomfortable for a period and then rich. Here's what I want you to do this week. Calculate your gross income. Multiply it by 30%. That's your investment amount. That's what will be automatically deducted starting today or this week, or next paycheck, whichever you can set up fastest. Don't overthink this. Don't negotiate with yourself. Just do it. Then look at your non-negotiable expenses. Write them down. How much do you actually need to spend per month to cover rent, utilities, insurance, food, and transportation? Get a real number. Not a guess. A real number. Then subtract that from what remains after your 30% investment. What's left is your discretionary spending. That's your wiggle room. That's where you get to enjoy your life. Most people find that they have more flexibility than they think. Most people also find that forcing themselves to invest first completely changes how they spend their discretionary money. Suddenly, that money feels more precious. Suddenly, they don't waste it as easily. You've now learned the real allocation strategy. You've learned that investment comes first, not last. You've learned that this requires a system, not willpower. But building wealth is not just about allocating money you already have. It's about building multiple streams of money, so you're not dependent on one source. If you only have one income stream, you have one point of failure. And that's dangerous. Chapter 4: Build income streams while you sleep, and why your job never will. Your job is a trap. I don't mean your job is bad. Your job might be good. Your job might pay well. Your job might be fulfilling. But as a vehicle for building wealth, your job is a trap. It's a single point of failure. It's a dependency. Here's what happens when you depend on one income source. You get sick. Your income stops. You get fired. Your income stops. The economy crashes. Your income stops. Your industry changes. Your income gets cut. You reach the ceiling of your salary band. Your income stalls. You're trapped. The wealthy understood this decades ago. They don't build wealth from one paycheck. They build wealth from multiple income streams. Some of these streams are active. You have to work for them. A side business. Freelance work. A second job. But many of these streams are passive or semi-passive. They don't require your constant attention. Once they're built, they run themselves. A person earning $100,000 from their job is one crisis away from zero. A person earning $40,000 from their job, $25,000 from investments, $20,000 from a side business, and $15,000 from a digital product has diversified their risk. That person survives layoffs. That person survives recessions. That person builds wealth. This is not theoretical. This is how every single wealthy person I know operates. They have a primary income source. But they also have secondary and tertiary sources. This is not optional. This is required. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have time for a side business. I'm already working full-time. I have a family. I have responsibilities. I'm exhausted. That's the point. That's exactly why you need to build multiple income streams. Because if you don't, you'll be dependent on your job forever. And your job will never make you rich. Let me be clear about something. A job is not a path to wealth. A job is a path to a paycheck. The goal of a job is to pay you as little as possible to get you to do the work. Your goal is to build wealth. These goals are in direct conflict. Your job wants to minimize what it pays you. You want to maximize what you earn. These are not aligned. The only way to build wealth is to have income streams where you control the economics. Where the more value you create, the more you earn. Where you're not capped by a salary band. Where you're not limited by someone else's budget. Here's what I want you to do. You're going to build 3 income streams over the next 18 months. Not all at once. One at a time. But you're going to start now. First, start a side business or freelance work in your field. You already have expertise. You already have skills. You already have knowledge that other people need. You can monetize this immediately. If you're a marketer, you can freelance for businesses that need marketing. If you're a writer, you can freelance for publications or agencies. If you're a coder, you can take freelance projects. If you're a designer, you can sell your services. There are thousands of platforms. Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer. Or you can directly reach out to people and offer your services. This requires sweat equity but pays quickly. Within 3 to 6 months, you should be able to earn $1,000 to $3,000 per month from freelance work if you're competent and committed. That's $12,000 to $36,000 per year from a side business. That's real money. Second, invest in dividend-paying stocks or index funds. This is passive once the initial setup is complete. You invest money. The investment grows. You earn dividends. You don't have to do anything except not touch it. This is the slowest to build, but the most reliable. Over time, this becomes your biggest income stream. Third, create a digital product. A course. An ebook. A template. A tool. A framework. Something that you create once and sell many times. The initial effort is high. You might spend 40 hours creating a course, but then you sell it for $97. You sell 100 copies. That's $9,700 from 40 hours of work. That's $240 per hour. And you can sell it forever. You don't need all 3 tomorrow. You don't even need all 3 in the first year. Start with 1. Master it. Add another. Within 18 months, you can have 3 independent income sources that reduce your dependence on your job to 50% or less. Now, here's what's important to understand. Building passive income is not passive. The passive part is after the foundation is built. Before that, you work hard. You work very hard. You work while you're tired. You work while you're busy. You work anyway. A person who spends 20 hours per week for 12 months building a side income can expect to earn between $10,000 and $30,000 per year from it. That's $830 to $2,500 per month in additional income. Over 10 years, that number compounds. Your skill improves. Your network grows. Your reputation builds. That $10,000 per year becomes $15,000, then $20,000. Then $30,000. But it starts with you saying yes to the work. It starts with your willingness to be busy and tired. It starts with you prioritizing wealth building over comfort. Here's what I want you to commit to this week. Identify 1 skill you have that people will pay for. Just 1. Then identify where those people hang out. Then reach out to 5 of them and offer your services. 5. Not 50. Not 20. 5. One of those 5 will probably say yes. You'll earn money. You'll build confidence. You'll have proof that you can do this. Then you reach out to 5 more. Then 5 more. Within 3 months, you'll have clients. Within 6 months, you'll have recurring income. That's how you build multiple streams. Not by dreaming about it. By doing it. The wealthy work hard early so they can rest rich later. They broke rest early and work hard forever. Which will you choose? You've now learned that you cannot rely on 1 income source. You've learned that you must build multiple streams. But building multiple streams requires discipline. It requires saying no to comfort. It requires making choices about what deserves your money and what doesn't. Most people fail at this because they confuse comfort with wealth. They think buying nice things means they're successful. But buying nice things is what keeps you working forever. That's Chapter 5. Stop spending on status. Start spending on assets. Chapter 5. Stop spending on status. Start spending on assets. You are being robbed every single day. Not by criminals. By yourself. You're stealing from your future to impress people in your present. And you don't even realize it's happening. Let me paint a picture. There's a person earning $75,000 per year. This person buys a $35,000 car. Not because they need a car. They need transportation. A $15,000 car does the same thing. They bought the $35,000 car because it looks good. Because it makes an impression. Because when they pull up somewhere, people notice. That person is broke. They just don't know it yet. Let's do the math. A $35,000 car has a monthly payment of about $550. Add insurance, which is probably $200 per month. Add maintenance, repairs, and gas. You're at $800 per month. That's $9,600 per year. Over 10 years, that's $96,000. For transportation. Meanwhile, a $15,000 used car does the same job. The payment might be $250 per month. Insurance might be $100. The total might be $400 per month. That's $4,800 per year. Over 10 years, that's $48,000. The difference is $48,000. $48,000 that could have been invested. $48,000 that could have compounded. $48,000 that could have made you wealthy. But instead, you spent it on status. You spent it on an image. You spent it on impressing people you probably don't even like. This is the status spending trap. And it's everywhere. Designer clothes. You could buy a decent shirt for $30 or a designer shirt for $150. The designer shirt doesn't keep you warmer. It doesn't last longer. It just has a name on it. But people buy it anyway because it's a status. Expensive restaurants. You could eat an equivalent meal at home for $12 or at a trendy restaurant for $60. The food tastes the same. The calories are the same. But you spend the extra money because it's a status thing. New cars. You could drive a 5-year-old car that works perfectly or finance a new car for status. Designer handbags. Luxury watches. High-end jewelry. Expensive vacations. Everything is status. Everything is a signal to other people that you have money. But the irony is, if you're spending money on status, you don't have money. You're pretending. The actual wealthy have already figured this out. Jeff Bezos, the richest person in the world, wore the same jeans and the same shirt combination for years. He didn't care about status. Bill Gates, one of the richest people in the world, drove a Lexus. Not a Lamborghini. Not a Rolls-Royce. A Lexus. Warren Buffett, another of the world's richest people, lived in the same modest house for decades. He didn't upgrade. He didn't flex. He invested. These are the wealthiest people on the planet. And they stopped caring about status decades ago. They realized that status spending is the opposite of wealth building. Now I'm going to teach you the distinction that actually matters. It's simple, and it's everything. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That's it. That's the only distinction you need. A rental property is an asset. It produces rental income. A new car is a liability. It produces car payments. Dividend-paying stocks are assets. They produce dividend income. Designer handbags are liabilities. They produce zero income and lose value the moment you buy them. A business is an asset. It produces revenue. Jewelry is a liability. It depreciates. Most people spend 70% of their income on liabilities and wonder why they're not wealthy. The wealthy spend 70% of their income on assets, with the remaining 30% on essentials and occasional enjoyments. The wealthy buy a used car for $12,000 and drive it for 10 years while the investment money compounds. The broke person buys a new car for $35,000 and has nothing to show for it at the end. The wealthy live in a house they can afford and put the difference into rental properties. The broke person stretches themselves to buy a house that looks impressive. The wealthy buy stocks and bonds. The broke person buys handbags and jewelry. And that's why the wealthy get wealthier, and the broke stay broke. Here's what I want you to do this week. Write down every discretionary purchase you've made in the last 30 days. Every single one. Then, next to each purchase, write asset or liability. Be honest. Be brutal. Most of your purchases will be liabilities. Most of your purchases will be status spending. Now, circle the one status spending habit that costs you the most. If it's coffee, that's probably $150 per month. If it's eating out, that's probably $500 per month. If it's shopping, that's probably $800 per month. If it's a car payment, that's probably $500 to $1,000 per month. Now here's the commitment. For the next 60 days, you eliminate that one status spending habit entirely. Not cut back. Eliminate. You stop it completely. You redirect that money to an asset. Stocks. A course to build skills. A business idea. Real estate. Something that produces value. After 60 days, you've broken the habit, and you've invested money that will compound. Do this for one status spending habit per quarter. In 1 year, you'll have eliminated 4 status spending habits and invested that money into assets instead. That's not deprivation. That's wealth building. That's the difference between sleepwalking through your finances and designing them on purpose. A liability feels like freedom. An expense that makes you feel good today. But an asset is actual freedom. An asset is what lets you stop working. You've now learned to distinguish between assets and liabilities. But there's a deeper psychological reason why people spend on status in the first place. They're seeking validation. They're trying to prove something. And that need for validation costs them more than any purchase ever could. Chapter 6. The silent cost of seeking validation and how rich people ignore it. Your need to be liked is costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let me repeat that. Your psychological need for other people to think you're successful is directly preventing you from becoming successful. This is not an exaggeration. This is the core mechanism that keeps people broke. Think about why you spend money on status. Not consciously, but deep down. Why do you buy designer clothes? Why do you drive the nice car? Why do you eat at expensive restaurants? Why do you take vacations to places that don't matter to you? Why do you buy things you don't need? You're seeking validation. You want people to think you're doing well. You want them to think you're successful. You want them to look at you and be impressed. That's the real reason. Everything else is just rationalization. But here's the truth. The people you're trying to impress don't care. And even if they did, their validation is worthless. The only validation that matters is your own. Your own knowledge that you're building wealth. Your own understanding that you're making progress. Your own awareness that you're getting closer to freedom. The wealthy broke free from this need decades ago. They don't need anyone's approval. They don't care what people think. They make decisions based on wealth, not appearance. And because they make decisions based on wealth, they become wealthy. Let me give you an example. There are 2 people. Person A earns $50,000 per year. They buy nice clothes, a nice car, eat at nice restaurants, and spend money on experiences. They want to look successful. They want people to think they're doing well. But they have $0 in savings. Person B earns the same $50,000 per year. They buy regular clothes from regular stores. They drive a 10-year-old car. They cook at home. They invest money in assets. They don't care what anyone thinks. But they have $40,000 in investments. Person A looks wealthier. Person B is wealthier. These are not the same thing. Most people choose to look wealthier. Most people spend money on appearances. And most people stay broke because of it. Now I want to talk about social media. Social media has weaponized comparison. You see a highlight reel, and you assume it's reality. You see someone posting vacation photos, and you think, wow, they're doing so well. I need to do the same thing. You see someone in designer clothes, and you think, I need to look like that. But you don't see the debt. You don't see the stress. You don't see the person working 70 hours per week to maintain an image they can't afford. The person posting luxury vacations might be broke. They might be financing their lifestyle on credit. The person in designer clothes might earn $200,000 per year and still have a negative net worth. You cannot win the comparison game because you're playing against fabricated images. You're playing against lies. And yet, most people are on the treadmill of comparison and consumption. They see what others have, and they spend money trying to match it. And that spending prevents them from building wealth. The wealthy deleted social media or never joined it. They measure themselves against their own past, their own goals, their own financial statements. Not against strangers' curated images. This simple psychological shift is worth thousands of dollars per year. Think about it. If you're not constantly exposed to what other people have, you stop wanting it. Your baseline expectations shift. You stop feeling like you need to match someone else's lifestyle. Your money stays in your account instead of disappearing into status spending. Here's the psychological mechanism I want you to understand. Seeking validation is a form of addiction. Your brain gets a hit of dopamine when someone approves of you or when you think someone will approve of you. So you spend money to get that hit. A new outfit, a nice car, an expensive meal. Each of these purchases gives you a temporary sense of value. Then the dopamine wears off, and you need another hit. This is addiction. This is real. And like all addictions, it costs you money, and it costs you peace. The wealthy broke free from this addiction. They found their validation internally. They feel proud because they're building assets. They feel successful because they're compounding their wealth. They feel valuable because of what they're accomplishing, not because of what they're displaying. Here's what I want you to do this week. Identify the person or the group of people whose validation you're seeking through spending. It might be your family. It might be your friends. It might be strangers on social media. It might be your spouse. Now write down this question. If I knew for a fact that nobody would ever know about my purchases, what would I buy? Be honest. Your answer reveals the truth. If you answered, I buy way less stuff, then congratulations. You've just identified that you're spending on validation, not on value. Now here's the radical step. For the next 30 days, mute or unfollow anyone whose content makes you feel less than. Delete the apps that trigger comparison shopping. Stop reading celebrity lifestyle news. Stop checking what other people are buying and doing. Redirect that time and mental energy toward your own goals, your own wealth building, your own vision. You will be shocked at how much less you want to spend. When you're not constantly exposed to what other people have, you stop trying to match it. And when you stop trying to match it, your money stops disappearing. 30 days without comparison. 30 days without the media pushing you toward status spending. See what happens to your money. Financial freedom begins with psychological freedom from others' opinions. You cannot be financially free while you're enslaved to other people's opinions. So the first step is freeing your mind. The second step is freeing your money. You've now learned that seeking validation is costing you wealth. You've learned that comparison is the thief of peace and money. But knowing this is not enough. You need a system that makes this automatic. You need to remove the need for willpower entirely. You need to automate your way to wealth so that staying disciplined is not a daily battle. Chapter 7. Automate your wealth. Never rely on willpower. Willpower is a finite resource. This is not motivational philosophy. This is neuroscience. Your brain has a limited amount of willpower every single day. You wake up with a full tank. Every decision you make depletes that tank. By evening, you're running on empty. Broke people rely on willpower to save. They tell themselves, I'll spend less this month. They make that commitment at the beginning of the month, when their willpower is at its peak. Then life happens. Work is stressful. They need comfort. A friend invites them to dinner. Their willpower is depleted. They spend the same as always. Then they feel guilty. Then they give up. This cycle repeats every single month. Every single year. And nothing changes. The wealthy understood this weakness decades ago. They didn't try to use willpower. They designed willpower out of the system. They automated. And automation is the real secret to building wealth. Here's how it works. On payday, before you see or touch the money, it automatically transfers to savings. Money automatically invests. Bills are automatically paid. There's no decision required. No willpower depleted. The decision was made once, and now it's automatic. Every single month. Every single year. It just happens. This is the difference between people who start with good intentions and people who actually change their lives. Intention is cheap. Automation is expensive, but it's worth every penny. Let me give you a real example. There are two people. Both earn the same salary. Both want to build wealth. Person A relies on willpower. They tell themselves they'll save $500 per month. Some months they do, some months they don't. Over the course of a year, they save maybe $3,000. Person B automates $500 per month. It happens every single payday without fail. Over the course of a year, they save $6,000. Person A had more willpower. Person B had a better system. After 10 years, Person B has accumulated $60,000. Person A has accumulated maybe $35,000. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is not in earning power. The difference is automation. That's the key. That's everything. Now here's what's important to understand. Automation is not lazy. Automation is intelligent. Automation is how the wealthy build wealth without thinking about it. They don't wake up every day and decide to save. They don't negotiate with themselves about whether to invest. They automated the decision, so they no longer have to make it. Here's the automation blueprint. You're going to set up your finances so that wealth building happens automatically. Step 1. Open a savings account that is separate from your checking account. This account should not have a debit card. You should not be able to access it easily. The friction of accessing it is the point. The friction is what stops you from rating it. Step 2. Set up an automatic transfer. On payday, 30% of your gross income automatically transfers from your checking account to this savings account. You don't see it. You don't touch it. It's gone before you can spend it. This is the most important step. This is where wealth building happens. Step 3. Open an investment account. This could be a brokerage account. It could be a retirement account. It could be an index fund through your employer. You're going to automatically invest the money in your savings account into diversified investments. This happens the day after the money hits your savings account. Money comes in. It immediately gets invested. You don't think about it. You don't time the market. You just invest. Step 4. Set up automatic bill payments for all your non-negotiable expenses. Rent, utilities, insurance. These payments happen automatically on the day you get paid or a few days later. You don't have to think about them. They just happen. Step 5. Create a separate fund money account. After your investment is automated and your bills are paid, whatever remains is your discretionary spending. Set up a transfer that puts your fund money into a separate account. Now you can spend guilt-free because you've already paid yourself first and covered your obligations. This takes 3 to 4 hours to set up. That's it. 3 to 4 hours one weekend. And then you're on autopilot toward wealth for the rest of your life. Once this is set up, you literally cannot spend the money that's being saved and invested. It's out of your reach. That psychological barrier is worth thousands of dollars per year. You're not fighting yourself. You're not negotiating with yourself. The money is gone. You can only spend what's left. Most people take 3 weeks to set this up. They procrastinate. They overthink it. They plan to do it later. Those 3 weeks cost them hundreds of dollars in missed savings. Don't be that person. Do this weekend. Now here's the psychology of automation that matters more than anything else. When you automate, you stop feeling like you're sacrificing. You stop feeling disciplined. You stop feeling like you're on a diet. You're just living your life with a system in place. The system does the work. You don't have to. Broke people are constantly fighting themselves. They're constantly using willpower. They're exhausted by the process. So they give up. Rich people set up a system and then stop thinking about it. They have energy left for other things because the system is handling wealth building without them. This is the difference between people who are disciplined and people who have good systems. Good systems always win. Here's your assignment this week. Commit 3 hours this weekend to setting up full automation. Open a savings account. Link it to automatic transfers. Set up an investment account and schedule automatic buys. Set up automatic bill payments. Create a fun money account. After you set it up, you're done. You don't have to think about saving anymore. You don't have to decide to invest. It just happens. And because it just happens, you will become wealthy. It's not a question of if. It's a question of when. And the when is determined by how aggressive you are with that 30%. Automation is not an option. Automation is required. The wealthy are obsessed with automation. That obsession is why they're wealthy. You've now learned that automation is the solution to willpower. You've learned that you don't need more discipline. You need better systems. But systems alone are not enough if you're starting from a position of debt. You need to address the debt first. Most people think debt consolidation is the answer. It's not. It's actually the opposite. Chapter 8. The Debt Consolidation Lie. Here's the real debt strategy. Debt consolidation is a trap. It feels productive. It sounds smart. It makes sense on the surface. You take all your high-interest debt and consolidate it into one lower-interest loan. Your monthly payment goes down. You feel relief. You think you're making progress. But you're not. You're just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Here's the truth about debt consolidation. It does nothing to solve the actual problem. The actual problem is not your interest rate. The actual problem is your behavior. Most people consolidate debt, keep spending the same way, and end up more indebted 3 years later than they were before the consolidation. Think about it logically. You have credit card debt. You have student loans. You have car payments. You consolidate it all into one loan. Your monthly payment is lower because you stretched the timeline. But you didn't change the reason you went into debt in the first place. You're still spending more than you earn. You're still living above your means. So while you're paying down the consolidated debt, you're also reaccumulating new debt. And 3 years later, you're worse off. This is the debt consolidation trap. And the credit industry loves it because it keeps you in debt longer and paying more interest overall. The wealthy never enter this cycle because they never accumulate the debt in the first place. They live below their means by 20 to 30%. If they earn $50,000 per year and spend $35,000, they have $15,000 per year available for debt paydown and wealth building. If they spend $47,000, they're perpetually playing catch-up. Debt consolidation doesn't change this equation. Only behavior change does. Here's the real debt elimination strategy. There is only one way out. Increase your income or decrease your expenses. Or better yet, do both. But you have to attack the debt aggressively. Not consolingly. Aggressively. Here's how it works. You're going to attack your debt with intensity for 12 to 24 months. During this period, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to live like you're broke because you are. No new purchases. No upgrades. No extras. Only essentials. Any extra money you have goes toward debt. Any bonus you get goes toward debt. Any tax refund goes toward debt. Any side income goes toward debt. You're going to laser focus on killing this debt. Now, here's the strategy that actually works. You make a list of all your debts. You rank them by size from smallest to largest. You ignore the interest rate. You attack the smallest debt first. Why? Because psychology. You need wins. You need momentum. The smallest debt will be gone the fastest. That gives you a win. That gives you motivation. That gives you proof that you can do this. Once the first debt is paid off, you roll that payment amount into the second debt. Let me give you an example. You have 3 debts. A credit card with $2,000 at 20% interest. A personal loan of $8,000 at 10% interest. A car loan for $20,000 at 6% interest. According to financial logic, you should attack the credit card first because it has the highest interest rate. But according to psychology, you attack the $2,000 credit card first because it's the smallest. You attack it relentlessly. You cut your budget. You start a side business. You sell things. You somehow find an extra $1,000 per month. In 2 months, the credit card will be gone. You feel amazing. You have momentum. Now you take that $1,000 per month and add it to whatever you were already paying toward the personal loan. You had maybe $300 per month going toward the personal loan. Now you have $1,300 per month. 8,000 divided by 1,300 is about 6 months. 6 months, and the personal loan is gone. Now you have $1,300 per month that was going to the personal loan. You add it to the car payment. Let's say the car payment was $400. Now you have $1,700 per month going toward the car debt. 20,000 divided by 1,700 is about 12 months. In 1 year, the car will be gone. So in approximately 2 years, you went from $30,000 in debt to zero. During those 2 years, you lived like you were broke. Rice and beans. No entertainment. No shopping. No extras. Just raw focus on killing debt. But here's what else happened. While you were aggressively paying down debt, you were also building habits of saving and discipline. You were also learning what your actual baseline expenses are. You were also building momentum and confidence. And then when the debt is gone, you have a choice. You can go back to your old spending habits. Or you can redirect the $1,700 that was going toward debt payments toward investments and wealth building. Most people who go through this process choose the second option. Because they realize something. They realize that they don't miss what they cut. They realize that they can live on a fraction of what they thought they needed. And they realize that the relief of being debt-free is worth the sacrifice. Now, here's what matters. While you're aggressively attacking debt, you should also build a small emergency fund. Not a 6-month emergency fund. That comes later. Just $1,000 to $2,000 buffer so that if something breaks, you don't have to go back into debt. The debt paydown is not a sacrifice. It's the price of financial freedom. And the price is worth every penny. Here's your action this week. List every debt you have. Write down the amount and the monthly payment. Circle the smallest one. Calculate how much extra you can pay monthly by cutting your budget. If you can find an extra $500 per month and the debt is $5,000, it's gone in 10 months. 10 months. That's not a lifetime. That's manageable. Now ask yourself, how badly do I want to be debt-free? Because if you want it badly enough, you'll find a way. You'll cut expenses. You'll start a side business. You'll do what needs to be done. Debt destruction is the foundation of wealth construction. You cannot build wealth while you're paying interest to other people. You cannot invest while you're drowning in debt. Debt is the enemy. And the enemy must be destroyed before you can build an empire. You've now learned that debt consolidation is a trap and aggressive paydown is the solution. You've learned that behavior change, not balance transfer, is what sets you free. But before you can truly accelerate toward wealth, you need to invest in the one asset that compounds faster than anything else. Yourself. Chapter 9. Invest in yourself before you invest in anything else. The richest asset you own is your brain. Not your house. Not your investments. Not your business. Your brain. Your knowledge. Your skills. Your ability to think, create, solve problems, and generate income. That is your greatest asset. And most people completely neglect it. Think about the wealthiest people in the world. Buffett, Gates, Bezos, Elon. What do they have in common? They are obsessed with learning. Not motivational seminars. Not self-help books. Real learning. Learning that directly increases their earning capacity. Learning that directly improves their decision-making. Learning that directly compounds their wealth. Buffett reads constantly. Gates reads voraciously. Bezos is known for constantly reading and studying. These billionaires understand something that broke people don't understand. The return on investment in yourself is infinite. It's immeasurable. Think about it this way. A $500 course that teaches you a skill that increases your income by $10,000 per year is a return on investment of 2,000%. 2,000%. That's a 20-to-1 return. No stock will consistently beat that. No real estate will consistently beat that. No business will consistently beat that. And yet, most people will spend $5,000 on a vacation and refuse to spend $500 on education. This inversion of priorities is why they stay broke. Here's what the wealthy do. They invest in their own knowledge relentlessly. They take courses. They hire coaches. They read books. They attend conferences. They study the people who are ahead of them. They do this not because they're bored. They do this because they know it's the best investment they can make. Now, I'm not talking about motivational fluff. I'm not talking about books that make you feel good. I'm talking about education that teaches you how to actually do something. Education that has a measurable outcome. If you're in tech, you invest in learning advanced programming languages, cloud architecture, or artificial intelligence. These skills directly increase your earning capacity. A company will pay you more money because you have these skills. A person with these skills earns 30 to 50% more than a person without them. If you're in sales, you invest in learning persuasion, negotiation, closing techniques, and rapport building. These skills directly increase your ability to earn commissions. A better salesman earning the same salary will earn more money through commissions than a bad salesman. If you want to start a business, you should invest in learning the fundamentals of business, marketing, sales, and financial management. These skills directly increase your ability to build a profitable business. A person who understands business will build a successful business. A person who doesn't understand business will fail. Real education teaches you how to do something, not how to feel about something. Real education has a measurable outcome. More income, a better job, and a new skill that you can use immediately. Now here's the key. You need to be ruthless about what you invest in. Not every course is worth taking. Not every book is worth reading. Not every coach is worth hiring. Ask yourself this question. Does this education directly increase my earning capacity? If the answer is no, it's not worth the time and money. You're looking for education that moves the needle. Education that gives you a competitive advantage. Education that other people aren't willing to invest in because they're too lazy or too broke. Let me give you an example. There's a person working as a graphic designer who makes $40,000 per year. They take a $500 course on advanced design principles and user experience. They apply what they learn in their job. 6 months later, they're the best designer on their team. They ask for a raise. They get a $5,000 raise. They just earned a $5,000 return on a $500 investment. That's a 1,000% return in 1 year. Now they're taking another $1,000 course on freelancing and running a design business. They start taking freelance clients on the side. Within a year, they're earning an additional $15,000 from freelance work. That's a 1,500% return on a $1,000 investment. Now do you see the compounding effect? The education you invest in today directly impacts your earning capacity. Your earning capacity directly impacts your ability to build wealth. This is the leverage point that most people miss. Here's what I want you to commit to this week. Spend $20 and buy a book or take a free course in your field. Something that teaches you a skill you don't have. Something that could directly increase your value. Now commit to learning from that book or course over the next 30 days. Apply what you learn. Test it. Measure the impact. After 30 days, you'll have proof that education creates value. Now commit to spending $500 to $1,000 on a course or coaching in your field over the next 90 days. This is not discretionary. This is required. This is the best investment you can make. The cost is irrelevant compared to the payoff. A $500 course that increases your income by $20,000 per year is a 500% annual return on investment. After you complete the course, you implement what you learned aggressively. You don't just learn. You apply. You test. You measure. That's the difference between people who take courses and people who benefit from courses. The wealthy are obsessed with their own development. That obsession is why they stay wealthy. That obsession is how they got wealthy in the first place. You've now learned that your greatest asset is yourself. You've learned that investing in yourself has infinite returns. You've learned that education is not optional if you want to build wealth. But all of this learning, all of this effort, all of this momentum needs to be sustained. It needs to be maintained. That requires a daily ritual. A small, consistent habit that keeps you on track. Chapter 10. The Daily Wealth Ritual. 10 minutes that change your financial life. You don't become wealthy from one big decision. You become wealthy from 10 small habits done consistently. You become wealthy from a ritual that you perform every single day. A ritual that keeps you focused. A ritual that prevents you from backsliding. A ritual that reminds you of what matters. A person who saves $50 per month for 30 years will have more wealth than a person who tries to save $5,000 once. Consistency beats perfection every single time. But consistency requires ritual. A ritual is a non-negotiable, automatic part of your day. The wealthy have a daily wealth ritual. It takes 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes per day. And in those 10 minutes, they do things that keep them focused and moving toward their goals. Meanwhile, the broke person scrolls social media for 3 hours and wonders why they're not making progress. Here's what happens when you don't have a ritual. You get distracted. Life gets chaotic. You lose sight of your goals. You go back to your old habits. You start spending money on status again. You stop automating. You stop tracking. You stop investing in yourself. And before you know it, you're back to square one. But if you have a ritual, you're anchored. You're reminded every day what matters. You're reminded every day that you're building towards something. That reminder is what keeps you on track when life tries to pull you in other directions. The 10-minute daily wealth ritual has 4 components. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do this. Component 1. Review your goals and net worth. 2 minutes. Every morning, write down your wealth target. Where do you want to be in 1 year? In 5 years? In 10 years? Write it down. Then write down your current net worth. What are you worth right now? How much have you accumulated? This keeps you focused on where you're going and where you are. It creates awareness. And awareness is the first step toward change. Component 2. Check your investment accounts. 2 minutes. Log into your brokerage account. Look at your balance. See how it's grown this week, this month, this year. Watch it compound. Feel the satisfaction of seeing your money work for you. Most people avoid looking at their account because they're scared. The wealthy look at their account because they love watching it grow. Change your psychology. Start loving to check your account. Every time you do, you're reminded that wealth building is working. Component 3. Review your spending from yesterday. 3 minutes. Look at what you spent money on yesterday. Did you overspend on status? Did you make good choices? Did you stick to your plan? Catch yourself today instead of in 90 days when you realize you've been leaking money everywhere. This real-time feedback is what prevents backsliding. Component 4. Plan one money move for today. 3 minutes. It could be researching a course, calling a financial advisor, starting a side hustle, negotiating a bill, reading one chapter of a book, making one sales call. One action per day compounds to 365 actions per year. Action is how you move from wanting wealth to building wealth. That's it. 4 components. 10 minutes total. And this 10-minute ritual is the difference between people who read about wealth and people who build it. Here's why this matters. Most people make decisions based on emotion. They're having a good day, they spend money. They're having a bad day, they spend money. They're bored, they spend money. Emotion drives their decisions. But the wealthy make decisions based on their ritual. They have a system. They have a process. Every day, they review their progress. Every day, they remind themselves of their goals. Every day, they take an action. And because they do this every day, they don't get knocked off track by emotion. When you wake up and do your wealth ritual, you're setting the tone for your day. You're saying, today, my financial future matters. Today, I'm making progress toward wealth. That mindset carries through the entire day. That mindset prevents you from making impulsive purchases. That mindset prevents you from wasting time. Now here's what's important. The ritual needs to happen at the same time every day. Not whenever you remember. Not whenever you feel like it. The same time. I recommend 7 a.m. Right after you wake up. Before work. Before the day gets chaotic. Before you get pulled in other directions. Set a phone reminder. Title it, Wealth Ritual Time. Block 10 minutes on your calendar. Do it every single day for 30 days. After 30 days, it's automatic. You won't have to force it. It will feel wrong to skip it. This is how habits work. This is how the wealthy stay wealthy. They don't go on financial diets. They don't make resolutions that last until February. They don't have motivation that eventually fades. They live a financial life that's wired into their daily existence. That's what the ritual creates. Automaticity. Habit. Second nature. Here's your commitment for this week. Tomorrow morning, set up your wealth ritual. Write it on your calendar. Set a phone reminder. Do the 4 components. Write down your goals. Check your net worth. Review yesterday's spending. Plan one money move. Then do it again the next day. Then the next day. Then the next day. After 30 days, measure the difference in your life. Measure the difference in your focus. Measure the difference in your spending. Measure the difference in your progress. You're going to be shocked. Because in just 30 days of a 10-minute daily ritual, your entire financial trajectory shifts. You're more aware. You're making better decisions. You're taking action. You're building momentum. And momentum is everything. Momentum is what turns knowledge into action. Momentum is what turns intention into results. The wealthy wake up and do wealth. The broke wake up and hope. Which will you choose? You've now learned the 10 habits that quietly make people rich. You've learned that permission is not required. You've learned that tracking matters. You've learned that investment comes first. You've learned that multiple income streams are required. You've learned that status spending is the enemy. You've learned that seeking validation costs you money. You've learned that automation is the solution to willpower. You've learned that debt must be destroyed. You've learned that your greatest investment is yourself. And you've learned that a daily ritual is what ties everything together. But knowing these habits is not the same as living them. The choice is yours. You can listen to this and feel inspired for 3 hours and go back to your old life. Most people will. Or you can implement one habit this week. Just one. Not all 10. 1. Track your money. Start automating. Cut one status spending habit. Do your research on a course. Pick something. Do something. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for more money. Don't wait for the right time. Your wealth is not waiting for you to feel ready. It's waiting for you to act. What will you do starting today? Let me be clear about what just happened. You didn't just listen to 10 money habits. You listened to your path out of financial mediocrity. You heard that rich people don't wait for permission, they move. You heard that they track every dollar like it's sacred. You heard that they invest first, not last. You heard they build multiple income streams, so they never depend on a single job. You heard that they stop buying status and start buying assets. You heard that they ignore what others think and do what builds wealth. You heard that they automate their way to riches, so they don't rely on willpower. You heard that debt is a choice, and the wealthy choose freedom. You heard that the best investment is in themselves. And you heard that a 10-minute daily ritual is the difference between people who talk about wealth and people who build it. But here's the truth you need to hear. Knowing these habits is not the same as living them. Right now, today, you have a choice. You can listen to this, feel inspired for 3 hours, and go back to your old life. Most people will. Or you can implement one habit this week. Just one. Track your money. Automate your savings. Cut one status spending habit. Do something. Don't wait. Don't plan. Don't prepare. Your wealth isn't waiting for perfect conditions. It's waiting for you to act. Which will you choose? I already know your answer. Because if you're still listening, you're not most people. Start today.